For more than 50 years, no astronaut's being has seen the moon up close. No astronaut has looked down at its craters from deep space, felt the pull of its gravity, or witnessed the hidden far side with their own eyes. But now, everything is about to change. A new generation of explorers is preparing to do what no one has done in half a century. This is not just a mission, it is the beginning of humanity's return to the moon. This is Artemis 2. Artemis 2 represents the moment the world has been waiting for. The first crewed lunar journey of the 21st century. 4 astronauts will travel farther from Earth than any human has since the end of the Apollo era. Their 10-day flight will test every critical system needed to sustain life beyond Earth, proving that the Orion spacecraft is ready to carry humankind back to the moon, and eventually even farther. Before sunrise on launch day, the crew suits up, feeling the weight of history on their shoulders. They move through final medical checks, mission briefings, and suit pressure tests before boarding the crew transport vehicles that carry them to Launch Pad 39B at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. Rising above them is the most powerful rocket NASA has ever built, the 322-foot Space Launch System, or SLS, with the Orion spacecraft mounted on top. The rocket has already completed its slow 4-mile crawl from the vehicle assembly building carried by the massive crawler transporter. Now it stands waiting, fueled with ambition and armed with engineering precision. As the clock counts down, the launch team loads over 700,000 gallons of super cold liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen into the SLS tanks. Engineers around the world monitor guidance, navigation, avionics, thermal systems, every heartbeat of the rocket. At 12 seconds before liftoff, hydrogen burn-off igniters fire, clearing excess fuel. 6 seconds later, all 4 RS-25 engines come alive, shaking the ground beneath the pad. And the £6 million moon rocket rises into the sky with 8.8 million pounds of thrust. The majority of that power comes from the 2 massive solid rocket boosters, each producing 3.6 million pounds of thrust. 2 minutes into flight, the boosters separate and fall away, having burned their propellant. The core stage continues firing, pushing Orion and the crew higher and faster. 3 minutes after launch, the protective fairings around Orion's service module fall away, exposing its solar arrays. Just moments later, the launch abort system jettisons, no longer needed now that the spacecraft has reached a safe altitude. 8 minutes after liftoff, the core stage engines shut down. Orion and its upper stage, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, ICPS, separate from the core and begin flying free in low Earth orbit. Soon, Orion's 4 solar arrays unfold, bringing the spacecraft to life electrically and charging its batteries. After completing a 90-minute orbit around Earth, the ICPS engine ignites again, pushing Orion into a high Earth orbit. Here, the crew spends nearly an entire day performing system checks. They test communications, propulsion, life support, navigation and emergency procedures, all while still close enough to Earth to safely abort if necessary. This phase is crucial. It gives the astronauts time to adjust to microgravity and learn the behavior of the spacecraft that will carry them hundreds of thousands of miles from home. Once everything is confirmed healthy, Orion separates from the upper stage. The now empty ICPS and the Orion stage adapter become targets for a manual proximity operations test. Using cameras, onboard sensors, and direct line of sight through Orion's windows, the astronauts pilot their spacecraft around the target, practicing approach and retreat maneuvers. These skills will be vital for future missions that require docking with landers or lunar stations. After completing the proximity demonstration, Orion begins gathering data from all onboard systems, life support, thermal control, radiation monitoring, and deep space communications to ensure it is ready for the journey ahead. About 23 hours after launch, Orion performs the translunar injection burn, TLI. This powerful engine firing breaks the spacecraft free from Earth's gravity and sends the crew on a 4-day journey toward the Moon. They follow a sweeping figure-8 trajectory that will carry them more than 230,000 miles from Earth. On the way, the astronauts continue evaluating the spacecraft's systems. They rehearse emergency scenarios, including deploying and operating the spacecraft's radiation shelter, training for the unpredictable environment of deep space. As Orion continues its path, the crew heads toward the moment that defines their mission, becoming the first humans in more than 50 years to witness the far side of the Moon. Eventually, Orion travels roughly 4,600 miles beyond the Moon, providing a spectacular view of the lunar far side, an environment never seen directly by astronauts since 1972. At this distance, communication with Earth is expected to drop out for a short period, leaving the crew truly alone in space, guided only by their training and onboard systems. As Orion arcs around the Moon and begins its return, Earth's gravity takes over, pulling the spacecraft back on a fuel-efficient free return trajectory. 4 days later, the crew prepares for re-entry, the most intense phase of the mission. Before plunging into the atmosphere, Orion's crew module separates from the service module. Small thrusters orient the capsule precisely at the correct angle. Then, at nearly 25,000 miles per hour, Orion slams into Earth's atmosphere. The astronauts feel up to 4 times their normal weight as the heat shield endures temperatures near 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, half as hot as the surface of the Sun. To ensure a safe landing, Orion deploys a precise sequence of 11 parachutes. First, 3 small parachutes pull away the forward bay cover. 2 large drogue chutes stabilize the spacecraft before cutting loose. Then 3 pilot chutes deploy the 3 massive main parachutes at 9,000 feet. These slow the capsule to under 20 miles per hour. After traveling more than 595,000 nautical miles through deep space, Orion splashes down in the Pacific Ocean, about 50 nautical miles off the coast of California, only 16 minutes after entering the atmosphere. A coordinated recovery team, composed of NASA, the US Navy, and the US Air Force, closes in. After ensuring the area is safe, divers help the astronauts exit the capsule onto an inflatable platform before lifting them into helicopters and transporting them to the recovery ship. Meanwhile, Orion is secured and brought aboard, beginning its journey back to Kennedy Space Center. After 10 days in space, the crew finally steps back onto solid ground. Artemis 2 is complete, and humanity is one step closer to returning to the Moon. This is Artemis 2. This is the beginning of a new era.